I'm Matt Bragg and you're listening to Hatch Plus. This is Notes from England. It's the show where I read you local news from around the UK to help you wind down. And tonight we're in Exeter, which is way, way down and out the way. You've got to have a good reason to go to Exeter. I mean, it is a lovely place, but it's right down on the southwest coast and is far away from basically everywhere. It's in the county of Devon and was originally founded by Romans over 2,000 years ago. It's actually one of the key sites during the Roman occupation of Britain, so they obviously weren't really bothered about being able to reach anywhere else in the country in good time. I suppose, what would you? I guess near the sea. It's good for overseas pillaging and ice cream. So I don't really know what Romans are into. But there's a cathedral there which dates back to the 12th century as well, so that's old. Population of around 130,000. It's quite an eclectic mix. There's support in some degree for almost every political party across the board, so it makes for quite an interesting dynamic. And speaking of politics, Exeter was actually one of the first cities in the UK to have a directly elected mayor. So it's progressive, politically speaking. What also helped as well is that it was one of the most heavily bombed cities in England during World War II, so it was rebuilt into this thriving cultural hub. If you have a walk, there's like a historic quayside area where centuries-old warehouses have been turned into trendy cafes and boutiques. The Royal Albert Memorial Museum, which is broadly about global history. And then there's underground passages which recreate medieval life in Exeter. So there's loads to do. There's Dartmoor National Park as well down the road, but as we know, I don't do walking holidays. But loads of restaurants, pubs, markets. You've got to have a traditional Devonshire cream tea when you're there. Although that dish might be responsible for some of the most boring arguments of all time. If you don't know what it is, it's jam and cream on a scone. And then people argue, is it scone or scone? It's scone, or it's cone with an S at the start. It's scone, for the same reason the plural of cones is cones, not cons. And there's a whole other argument about what goes on first, the jam or the cream. Devon do it one way, Cornwall do it another way. Grown adults fight over this. I personally try and do whatever I think will annoy whoever I'm with at the time. Anyway, I got myself a copy of the Exeter Observer here. And kicking off, Exeter pub hires birds of prey to scare off gulls. Pub customers are often ambushed by pesky seagulls looking for a meal. An Exeter Wetherspoon pub has brought in 3 new recruits to help with its ongoing war against seagulls. The newest members of staff are birds of prey, designed to stop the gulls from ambushing customers. Exeter pub The Imperial has become well known for its inventive ways of keeping seagulls out of its beer garden. Many who have enjoyed a drink or a bite to eat in the garden will have witnessed the birds dive-bombing tables and stealing scraps of food. In 2022, the pub gained national attention for installing shrieking alarms in a bid to keep them away. Amused customers shared footage during which the bizarre and repetitive noise could be heard. As someone who has frequented Wetherspoon's pubs plenty in the past, bizarre, repetitive noises are extremely common and unlikely to put off any seagulls. It usually belongs to a hen party or, a stag do, or there's a lot going on in those places. At the time, a spokesperson for Wetherspoon said that the alarm had been installed a couple of years prior, but had been moved to a new, more effective location. They said it had been working much better since it had been moved. However, one expert said this could become ineffective over time as the seagulls become accustomed to the sound. Dr. Madeline Goomas, who has a postdoctoral research degree working on herring gull behaviour at the University of Exeter, I've said it once, I'll say it again. My family mocked me for doing a media studies course. Anyway, she said, I found there isn't much research on the use of bird of prey calls, which a lot of people seem to use. I suspect this is because they are unlikely to work. Gulls don't have many predators as adults, only really eagles, which are rare here, and predators don't call when they're hunting. It's not the first time the Imperial has tried this tactic, as in 2019 they brought in a falcon named Dev to patrol the garden. That literally sounds like a bouncer as well. This is great, don't mess with Dev. He's done prison time. I like at the start of this article as well how they say they've hired 3 massive birds to keep seagulls away. Hired suggests the birds had a choice in whether they accepted the job or not. I suspect they may have been coerced. What else have we got? I tried Top Exeter restaurant to see if it lives up to the hype. iFood Thai Taste on Sidwell Street has grown a cult following since it opened in 2017. I can't read about someone else eating. Not right now, I'm too hungry. This headline isn't a nice story, but I think it makes a very good point and speaks volumes, so I'm going to include it. Illiterate vandals, too stupid to make their own racist point. Lovely. That's all you need from that, isn't it? Exeter Tower Block, where rooms cost as much as £1,360 a month. It doesn't surprise me. It's a very desirable place to live, Exeter. Locals fight to save Exeter Pharmacy from closure. Fun never stops at the newly revamped Party Pub. The Vic, run by husband and wife duo Mark and Victoria, prides itself on being more than just a pub. There's a photograph here in the pub. There's Hawaiian-style fake flower garlands hung from the beams, some Union Jacks on the ceiling, and a group of lads loving it, sat on stools at the bar. It says, a popular Exeter pub has roared back to life after an exciting revamp, and it's putting on loads for the community so people can pile in for good times all week round. The Victoria Inn have been welcoming punters back since the end of last year, offering fun events and a range of affordable drinks to enjoy. The Craft Union venue is run by husband and wife team Victoria and Mark Major. The couple know the industry well, having previously owned a pub in North Devon. Our motto is more than a pub, co-pub operator Victoria Major tells Devon Live. We're very community-based and have welcomed back many locals as well as students as the term begins. We're pushing to get everyone involved and are open every day. Last weekend saw the pub celebrate with a relaunch party, with lots on from Friday to Sunday for everyone to get involved. We decorated the whole pub, says co-pub operator Mark Major. The Rugby World Cup was on. We had a magic mirror photo booth and glitter tattoos. Friday and Saturday were Ibiza nights with DJ Tom Maloney. On Saturday there was a white party with a neon theme. The Victoria Inn have also had some celebrity visitors so far, with Gary Caldwell, Exeter City FC manager, his head physio Michael McBride, and first team coach David Perkins paying the pub a visit. It's like the Golden Globes, isn't it? The Victoria Inn is a home supporters pub and welcomes Exeter City fans of all ages. Victoria and Mark are both members of the Exeter City FC Supporters Trust. We are avid sports fans and have 5 TVs where people can watch, says Victoria. I've got time for one more story, and this seems like a good place to finish for the evening. Life in Devon's secret village near the mighty M5. So the M5 is the motorway that takes you out that way. It's very big, very busy road. Good motorway, actually. As someone who spent a large portion of my life on motorways, I've been to a lot of service stations, and one that always comes up in conversations about the best is Gloucester Services, which is on the M5. So most services are sort of brutalist, concrete, very functional places. But Gloucester has a farm shop. It's ridiculous. There's a lake, petrol station obviously, and then a little bit of green space where you can walk the dog. I'd have my wedding reception there. It's incredible. Anyway, life in the secret village on Exeter's outskirts near the M5. Clyst St Mary has always benefited from its unique position at the crossroads beside the river, just 3 miles east of Exeter. The best thing about living in the village is the road network. Residents are close to the mighty M5 artery that feeds the city, Devon and beyond. The worst thing about living in Clyst St Mary is the road network. It's hell getting out of the village in the morning during rush hour as the endless stream of workers stutter towards the clogged up roundabout at Sandygate. For good or bad, the roads have always led people here. It's what makes the place a great commuter village to this day, and also what drives people up the wall. And that's the thing, you can't have everything, can you? But if you take a diversion off the beaten path, you'll find many points of interest. Like dozens of other villages scattered across Devon, it has its history. A ferocious and bloody battle once raged here. Cottages, farms, clubs, a cherished pub, and thriving school that make a community. Mike Howe should know. He is a Clyst St Mary born and bred, and now a district councillor. His family have run the local shop for generations, over 100 years in all. It's a lovely place to live, he says. There's all sorts going on. The pub, the Half Moon Inn, is the centre of village life, I suppose. Good food and a good locals pub. There used to be the Maltsters too, but that closed 10 or 15 years ago. There's a great primary school, local football team, and always something on at the village hall. What about the roads? There's always a downside, he says, smiling. We're so close to the motorway, it's good and bad. It's handy if you're going anywhere, but if there is a crash anywhere around the motorway, it can be a nightmare getting anywhere. Clyst St Mary traces its written history back to the Domesday Book. It's hard to imagine that just shy of 500 years ago, this village was the scene of a great and bloody battle. In 1549, the Prayer Book Rebellion raged across the West Country. It started after new laws were introduced in line with the Protestant Reformation. This upset Catholic and traditionally minded people in Devon and Cornwall, and they rose up in opposition, marching under the catchy slogan, "Kill all the gentlemen." Real relief to know I'd have been safe during that. They found murderous uses for pitchforks and ended up facing a royal army at Clyst St Mary. More than 1,000 rebels were killed in the battle. Margaret Houghton lives in one of Clyst St Mary's oldest properties. "I've lived here for 19 years, she said. I've been living in St Thomas in Exeter and came here originally because I was working in Taunton, and this was close to the motorway. I've retired now, but there's no way I'm going back to St Thomas." That is all I've got time for tonight, but thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.